Okay, good morning. So today we're still talking about data and how to show that data on different charts and graphs. And today we're talking about dot plots. This might be new to you, so it's really important to pay attention to what I'm saying so you can take this information on to fourth grade. Um, Dot plots are kind of new to third grade. And so kind of listen to how we're doing it. We are still taking data and putting it on an organized chart, but we are using dots to represent each piece of data. Kind of like we used tallies the other day, we're using dots this time. And so each dot is going to represent a piece of data. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Page 847 and 848 should be in front of you. And we're going to go on, we're going to look at number one. And if you look here, it says for 1 and 2, use the table below. The table shows the results of the third grade long jump event. So what I want to make sure, what happens in third grade with these is people get confused, the students get confused with these numbers and these numbers. This represents student number 1, student number 2, student number 3. This just represents the number of students that jumped and the number of students that we collected data for. So do not, this is almost like numbering your paper for a spelling test. Okay, you are not, these numbers don't really mean anything as far as the data goes. This is just numbering the pieces of data. So there's going to be 16 dots that are going to be represented on this graph. That's all that means. Okay, so don't confuse that. It doesn't have anything to do with the data. This, the number of distances, the inches that they jumped is the distance, and that's what we're recording. And you can look at our dot plot here. It says distance in inches, so it's showing 26, 27, 28, 29. That's the inches, the data of how far they jumped. So we're going to complete the dot plot, okay, based on this data. So student 1 jumped 27 inches. So I'm going to put a dot at 27 inches. See, under the 27, right? And then when I finish that, I'm going to check it off, or I'm going to cross it out just so that I know I've plotted that. Okay, student 2 jumped 31 inches. So I'm going to put a dot on 31. Okay, student 3 jumped 28 inches. So I'm going to put a dot at 28. Okay, and I've done those. Okay, student 4, 26 inches. Okay, 30 inches, 33 inches, 29 inches, 31 inches. See, when I have another one, I just put the dot right above the original, the one that I had before. Just like your tally marks you put next to, the dots you put above. And you keep stacking those dots when you get more data with that same number. 30 inches, 26 inches, okay, 28 inches, 30 inches, 31 inches, 26 inches, 33, and 30. Now, remember, I told you that this is how many people were jumped and what the number of pieces of data that we should have. That means we should have 16 dots. I'm going to count that to make sure I've plotted everybody and didn't miss anyone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I did. The other thing that you need to do with dot plots, just like all of your other graphs, I told you, make sure you label it. So you are going to count your dots and put the number that represents that data? 3. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 4, 3, and 2. Okay. Number 2 says which long jump distance occurred most often. So we are going to look for the dots, the most dots. That would be the distance that occurred most often. And so we are going to write the distance that occurred most often was 30 inches. And it says, how do you know? Because it has the most dots. It's the data that has the most dots. Okay? Okay, on number 3, you're going to do the same thing on your own. And remember, these numbers just represent the cars that you recorded data from. So you are going to have 18 dots on this plot. The number of people is what you're plotting. So for instance, car 1 had 2 people. So I'm just going to put a dot next to 2. That 1 doesn't really mean anything other than it's numbering the cars that you look to see how many people were in. Okay, so again, you will have 18 dots on this plot, dot plot. Okay, on the back, they give you a dot plot and you're going to answer questions about it. So you're going to answer questions about this chart based on this. The first thing that I want you to do when you see this is you're going to label it. Like for instance, I'm going to put a 1 above that 5. There's 1 dot. There's 2 dots above the 6, and you're going to go and label all of your pieces of data so you have numbers. Boys and girls, you cannot look at this. Number 6 says how many more. You can't figure a how many more question without your numbers. You can't do that with dots. Okay, so that is why it's important to write your numbers above each of these dots, how many dots are represented, so that you can then, how many more means subtract, so you have to have numbers in order to do a subtraction problem. Okay, and then it says number 7, Derek recorded the number of flowers on the plants in his garden. Make a dot plot to show the data. Okay, so you are going to make your dot plot, okay, and you are going to record your data. It looks like the number of flowers is going to be what your data is. So you are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 flowers. So that is what your that is what you should have written on your dot plot. Okay? And then you're going to, again, these are just numbers. You're going to have 16 dots at the end, and you're going to go and you're going to say, well, this first plant had 2 flowers, so I'm going to put a dot above the 2. Okay, does that make sense? So this is a little bit new, but I think once the students get the hang of it, they kind of like dot plots. It's kind of fun. Okay, so if you have any questions, make sure you call and ask, and I hope you have a great day.